All right, we are going live. Hello, happy Friday. Welcome to another installment of Get a Clue in 52 for Speakers with Sue Mathieson. Sue, how are you? What are we celebrating this week? What's happening?
I'm well, thank you. Oh, what are we celebrating? Oh, actually, it was lovely to have an invitee join International Speakers Network during the week. And I have someone else here from Australia turn up to the session. I think they only made it for a little while, but anyway, it was lovely to have them come into that world and, yeah, get into the Facebook group now, I think. So I hope they hang about and enjoy some value.
All right. Really good. Spreading the word. Spreading the word.
Yes.
It's nice when people trust your word and take action on your word. Isn't that lovely?
Yes, it is.
Right.
Indeed.
Very
what
cool.
about you?
Oh, I got, lots to celebrate. My wife was in town. That's one thing that I got to celebrate. She's going to be leaving again next week, and she's got some more travel planned, and it's been a lot of travel for her this year. But I participated, I collaborated with a pro advisor that asked me to come on in and help him write a proposal to submit for executive coaching for the San Diego Convention Center. They have 3 C-level executives that they need coached up on. So I was able to work with Greg Wilson and bring in Jim Rastusha on that project. And we've got our name in the hat on that. And it felt really good to collaborate on a proposal. And then right now I'm coming to you from the offices of Gupta, Evans, and Ayers. And they're a longtime client of mine. And I do some coaching here every other week. But I was able to submit to them earlier a proposal to expand my offerings for them in 2025. And I got word last night it was accepted. So that's exciting. And thirdly, there's an old client of mine. I was his first coach ever, even though he grew up in personal professional growth. Like he went to all the seminars, went to all the talks, got all the books and the tapes and everything. But I was his first actual one-on-one coach. And that was like 10 years ago or something, maybe more. All these years later, he's not only the founder of an organization, but he founded, scaled, and exited. So now he wants to partner with others to create an exit academy to teach other founders how not to just grow and scale their businesses, but to exit them, right? And to wash, color, rinse, repeat, and then play at a different level with all the tax strategies and all of the different things that come from getting on the other side of, you follow, like, I've envisioned like pushing a boulder uphill when you're launching a business, and then you're riding the boulder if it's moving. But sometimes we can build an identity around ourselves. We become our business, right? Rather than separate from our business, or what's our exit strategy. And we're gonna talk about these things starting next week, aren't we? When we get into the 12 accountabilities of growing any practice or any hobby into a practice, into a business, etc. I'm having fun smiling, thinking about the fun that's going to be. But anyway, my point is, he tapped me to create the curriculum, right? To organize all of the content that's going to be taught to founders that need to get past the scale, and then start thinking about exit strategy. How do they execute their own succession plan and get the business to a point where it's able to be sold? And then what are all the processes? So it's exciting. I'm going to learn a lot, but I've drafted the retainer, the proposal agreement, etc. And that looks like it's coming through. So it's a big celebration because it's an exciting project to work with people I respect and admire and look up to. It's a chance for me to, earn some income while I'm creating something that could create more revenue streams in the future. But also I get to learn so much about what successful founders go through in mergers and acquisitions and transition, buying and selling companies, and the mindset around it and the pitfalls and the strategies. It's going to be really exciting to bring all of that together and to be able to be fluent in that founder's exit strategy language. It's going to be really cool. So I've got a lot of things to celebrate, but you asked the right guy today. And
fantastic.
The other thing too,
that's awesome.
Yeah, the other thing too is it's a mini celebration of sorts. It's a little bittersweet, but we get to celebrate today that we're finishing out section 4 of our book, right? By now, people know that all of the Get a Clue in 50, all of them, all 4 of them, all of the Get a Clue in 52, they're organized into 5 categories, and that's how we spread out the 52 tips, around 10 in each section. Sometimes we got to put an extra 2 tips somewhere, and this year, all the extra 2 tips are in section 5. Which will start next week, by the way. But so today we're celebrating 40. It's a magic number, or it's a beautiful number. It's a round number, a whole blah, blah, blah. We're completing section 4. So let's do a review real quick of how we got here. Yeah, Sue?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'll do it.
That's good.
Section 1. And by the way,
sorry, I
That's okay. That's
yeah.
all right. It's okay. Yeah. Do you want to take it away? You want to review the 5 sections?
No, you go.
Okay.
You go.
All right. So
You've
this is Sue. She's co-author of the book, of course, a certified integrity game coach. And I'm Jeff Klubeck. I'm author and founder of the Integrity Game. And the Integrity Game is a 10-point model through which we deliver soft skills for strong leaders, soft skills for strong teams, soft skills for strong organizations. So we started with the Integrity Game. We took the 10-point model, we converted them into our first 10 tips in the section 1 of the book to give us structural integrity, foundation, sturdiness, resilience for how we're going to use public speaking to advance our career or how to build our public speaking career, right? Either way, structural integrity, it's all foundational. It's an inside job, right? It's our willingness to be 100% responsible for what happens to our lives and our purpose and our gifts and our potential and our goals and our strategies. And these are the tips, right, of section 1. With that foundation in place, section 2 is bring out your brand. This is where we color it up. This is where we focus on differentiation and we focus on our promises to the marketplace, right? And our competitive advantages and avoiding the humility or the humiliation of humility, right? We have to let the world know who we are, what we're doing, why we're better and different from anybody else, etc. So all of the tips around bringing out your brand. That led us to the meat and potatoes of the book, section 3, the epicenter of the book. It has 10 tips in it, right? But it holds the 8 steps to fearless public speaking. 8 of the 10 tips are 8 steps to fearless public speaking. Proven 8 steps. I've taken thousands of people through these 8 steps to give them a confidence, a voice, and an ability to prepare for any public speaking opportunity they have the rest of their lives. Just follow the 8 steps, right? We're not really afraid of public speaking. We just don't know how to prepare well. If we just focus on preparing well, we're going to be more confident, period, at full stop. So 8 steps to fearless public speaking make up section 3, but we added 2 mindset tips in front of the 8 steps. And one of those steps, by the way, it ended up being tip number 27, but it's step number 5 in the 8-step process is the outline. And the outline is so important to organizing our thoughts, subordinating our content, being able to edit and move things around, being able to see each thought, idea, sentence for what it's doing for our speech overall. Not because we're going to say all of that word for word, but so that we can get it out of our head, put it in a linear, organized form, and then be able to see it and work with it and interact with it and organize it and run it through. And then ultimately, we're going to move on, of course, after the outline to preparing visual aids and note cards and not word for word visuals because we never want to deliver manuscript style. But this tip number 27 of step 5, we could only address it from a strategic point, from a strategic perspective when we were in section 3. But it's so important, it actually got its own section, section 4, which is what we're closing out today. So section 4 focuses on the elements, forms, and functions of your outline. And it's your speech preparation outline, you know, the document that you use to get stuff out of your head into an organized manner. What are the elements of this outline? What forms do these elements take or can these elements take? And how do these elements function regarding our goals as a speaker? So as we got into, like, I got to take a deep breath because I know we're going to review 10 tips or the 9 tips, right? So anyway, we getting into section 4, we started with a mindset tip, but it wasn't our own mindset, which we've talked about at other points throughout the year. We're talking about the mindset of the audience. The preface here is that we know as speakers that there's going to be questions in the minds of the audience. And if we can answer them before they ask them, they won't ask them, which means they're going to do more listening than self-talking, right? You know, the more they're talking to themselves and asking themselves questions, the less connected they are to us, the less able they are to follow us. The goal as speakers is to grab our audience, connect with them, and stay connected as we guide them through our speech. Never to talk at them, never to talk to them, but connect with them first and foremost before we do anything. And from that place of connection, then wherever we go in our speech, they're coming with. Okay, so that's if we can anticipate the questions in their mind, we can answer them and keep that connection. So question number 1, should I pay attention? Well, let me give you an attention getter. Let me command or earn your attention with a joke, a story, a question, an interaction, a physical command. I got to do something to get your attention. Hey, what's that behind you? Hey, it got your attention. All right. All right, what's this about? The audience may ask. Well, I'm going to tell you right away what this is about. I'm not going to let you be curious. I'm not going to go on and on in my attention getter and have you going, what's going on, unless it keeps your attention. As soon as I have your attention, I want to tell you what this is about, what's going on. So you're not asking yourself, what is this about? Now, once you know what it's about, the next question you might have in your mind is, well, why should I care? Now, in most cases, Sue, right? In most cases, people know why they're at a speaking event, okay? But as we talked about in our tip, we want to see if we can address that. But there's probably 2, 3, 4, 5 reasons that anyone might attend. And we want to communicate as much of that to try to connect with the audience. We want to affirm for audience members the reason they know that they're there, but also suggest to them other reasons that they might get value out of this, so that there's value add there. Does that make sense? All right. And we want to do that for every audience member across the board. So again, the form and the functions, right? That's what we're talking about. Elements, forms, and functions. So, all right, should I pay attention? What's this about? Why should I care? Okay. All right. And now the next question I want to preempt is, why should I care? Why should you? Who are you to tell me about this? Right. So ethos is all about credibility. You want to pay attention. I have something of value to share here. I'm the right one. The reason I'm hosting this event, the reason I decided to get up and speak is, the reason I was brought in to speak today is, right? My background leads me to, right? Even if you're not the foremost expert, right? You got to get comfortable tooting your own horn or introducing, creating your third party credibility. What is somebody going to read or share with the audience when they introduce you? Right. And then are you going to fill in any gaps and make sure your audience is aware of why you are an ideal person or a valuable person to listen to on this topic? And then where are we going with all of this? How long is this going to take? Where's this going? What kind of a ride are you going to take? So you want to preview the main points. First, we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this. And then everybody kind of knows where they are. There's an orientation that takes place. Those are the first 5 elements. The 6th element is the transition sentence. Now that I've introduced my topic, let's get into this first main point that I was telling you about. I think transitions are the underappreciated and underutilized element of effective public speaking in terms of escorting and guiding our audience from one part of our speech to the next, and from that to the next, and so forth. So I'm always encouraging anybody that is learning from me, whether it's a student in the classroom or a CEO getting ready to differentiate themselves on a big stage, make use of effective transition statements. And then finally, we get into the elements of the conclusion, of which there are 3. And so 2 weeks ago, we talked about where were we, which is just, hey, in wrapping up the speech and closing things out, I want to remind everybody that today we talked about this, and we talked about this, and finally we talked about that. And so where were we? Where we were, right? And I want to make sure that I do a review for people on what we had covered. Then we talked last week about takeaways or calls to action, reasons to remember. I hope you remember this speech the next time you this, or today, when I want you to get up out of your seat and go to the back of the room and sign up for my thingy, or register to vote, or whatever, donate. People are standing in the hallways with their buckets out. Make sure you contribute to the cause, or scan this QR code and make a contribution to the Lamp of Learning Scholarship and walk away with some free books in the back, like we did at Authors Hour earlier in the year together, Sue, when you were in San Diego, right? So we always want to know, right, even if what did we say last week? Is beautiful Klubi snack? I think I have it here. I think if I'm remembering,
I think you did.
I think it's right. Even especially when your speech is over, its purpose must live on.
Live on.
Right, there we go. There we go. All right, pat myself on the back with quick access to the Klubi snack there. And then finally, you got it. This is it. Here we are, Sue. Tip number 40 is we got to wrap up. Right. So, thank you. No, we probably have more to say word for word about it's a wrap. But before we get into today's word for word, which closes out section 40, what do you have to say here, Sue, about the summary and the review? And that was a mouthful, right? When we get to the end of a section, we're reviewing 4 categories and 9 tips. Like, let me catch my breath. What do you say, Sue?
I think it's easy to skip over some of these elements and say, oh, they're not important, or I'll be okay without them. And yet in doing that, it dilutes the power of your delivery. And to the Klubi snack, you miss out on that opportunity of people having something to keep your speech living on in their own mind. And so taking the time to address every single one of these little tips just adds to the whole package.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You know, the road to mastery is paved with fundamentals. Once you've done these fundamentals enough times, it becomes easier and easier and easier. And then you could riff. And then it's like, you know, like a guitar solo, it starts with the basic chords, doesn't it? Right. Right. Like, but once you've got the basics down, then you could go crazy
Yes.
and still come back to the basic song. You could deviate and you can experiment and you can explore and still come back to the rhythm and the timing of the basic chords that anchor the song. I think it's masterful the way musicians are able to do that, but it's all this practice on the fundamentals that enables them to then riff and improvise, but still come back to the groove and still and keep it together. It's amazing how like a guitar solo sounds so different from the rest of the song, but it's all the same notes, isn't it? You know, and on some level, anyway, I can't describe it the way that I see it in my head. But what I want to do right now, actually, is I want to invite anybody that's out there before we start our word for word reading. Anybody's out there. Sometimes I see these eyeballs and, you know, thumbs up of these little icons that show me who's out there on social media as we're streaming this out there. You can come on in. It's very easy to come on in and join Sue and I. Say hello, or you don't even have to open up your microphone or open up your camera. But if you want to come in and ask a question, or if you have a speech coming up and you want to get a tip or need any coaching or anything like that, we budget 45 minutes for these sessions, which means we got 29 minutes to go. We're not bound by that in any way, shape, or form. And we'd love for you to come on board and check us out and say hello and join the Q&A. But having said that, Sue, is there anything else before we get into reading today's tip word for word?
No, not for the moment. So I think we get into it.
All right. Well, let me put the banner back up. There it is. And here we go. It's a wrap. Tip number 40. This is page 161. If you have your own copy of Get a Clue in 52 for Speakers with Sue Mathieson at Amazon.com available. Okay. If you have your own copy at home, follow along, page 161. We'll also show you later on how you can get a copy for free, by the way.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So here we go. So element nine, wrap up with humor or a tieback. The last element of the conclusion in speech as a whole can simply be referred to as a tieback, in that all you need to do is say something that ties back to something you said earlier in your speech. This can be tricky to pull off because the purpose of this element is to definitively end the speech in a memorable, parentheses, catchy, fun, attention-getting, anecdotal, colorful, or unexpected yet familiar way. So it can be as simple as referring to your attention getter in closing, but it could also be as creative or complex as telling a success story or a joke that relates to the main purpose of your speech. Personally, I love writing tiebacks and humor that end speeches in creative and memorable ways. So I really hope you take advantage of the 2 complimentary coaching sessions we offer in case you want help with brainstorming your tieback or any other element of your speech preparation. Just remember that anything that can work as an attention getter in the introduction of your speech can also be referred to in the tieback in your conclusion. This last element of your speech outline should be fun, creative, and less stressful on your thinking than every other element. As I like to say in my public speaking classrooms, quote, if you're not concentrating on having fun, you're doing it wrong, end quote. That may not be the case for the entire speech, but I most definitely recommend a fun, humorous, and creative attitude in writing up, or in the writing of your wrap-up / tieback.
So let me make sure I've got this right. When I'm outlining my speech, there are 5 elements to the introduction: command attention, share the topic or purpose of the speech, motivate the audience, establish my credibility, and signpost the main points. Then I create the transitions between the main points and any subpoints. Then as part of the conclusion, I restate the main points, state any takeaways or calls to action, and finish with humor or a tieback.
You've got it, Sue. Again, to make it as easy as possible, and as promised, we have included the skeleton and complete sample outlines to demonstrate the form and functions our 9 elements take. Follow them step by step, and you'll write an outline that will define your topic, grab the attention of your audience, keep them connected and you focused, and compel them to take action when you're done. Here you go. And then, of course, the outlines follow. And I can visualize. We're done reading the tip word for word, by the way, but I can screen share and show everybody once again what we mean with these templates that are included. And of course, if you take us up on our offer for 2 complimentary sessions, or you reach out to us in any way, we can also give you an actual Microsoft Word document where you've got the outline template. And I can show everybody in the arena where we have 8 Steps to Fearless Public Speaking, that course that's included in the season pass, which comes with, you know, the 3 months for free with the 90-day challenge. All of that stuff is tongue tying for me right now. I'm so excited about it. But let me just take a deep breath again, Sue, and just say, hey, we've read 40 tips now, right? We're done with section 4. And, you know, that means that, we only got 12 weeks left in the year, right? So, hey, guess what, everybody? 12 weeks left to make 2024 your best year ever. But what do you say about either today's tip, the section overall, or 4 sections that we've, you know, there's lots of comments on here. How are you feeling about this journey that we've taken?
Feeling about the journey, amazing. Like, it's the learning for me along the way has been incredible. So it's been a fabulous experience to go back and read the tips each week, and we've had some fun, I think, of going, oh, we wrote that at the time, but we'd probably do it a little bit differently in the moment.
Yeah.
And that was, you know, that was the beauty of having that freedom to do that, and then we'd chat about it. Some of the things that I know for you that came out of conversations were really good. But I was just thinking for today's tip, so a question for you.
Yeah.
Are there any tiebacks or ways that you have wrapped up a speech that come to mind that have been either the most memorable or where you've had the most fun?
Yeah, you know, what comes to mind, quite honestly, is hug you accountable. Hug you accountable. I spoke in Orlando in the fall of 2016, and it was to a pretty large crowd. You know, I think if not the largest, one of the largest crowds I'd spoken in front of to date. And I knew, given the event, you know, it was a 4 or 5 day event, and I had an idea of who was going to be speaking, what was going to be going on. There's going to be a lot of, celebrity speakers, but then a lot of student speakers that had bought stage time, right? And you know, the organization, and because I was coaching speakers to be on these stages, the feedback had come in. It was early on in that relationship. I'll never forget. It was Damian Elston that called me at the time, and he said, "Hey, Jeff, guess what? We're getting such good feedback and on the coaching that you're doing. We've got an open spot, and normally people are paying thousands of dollars just to get this open spot, but we want to get you into this spot. We want all of our students to see you." And I was like so excited, you know. And I knew that if the reason I say all of that is because I knew that this was my chance to brand myself. If we go back, right, to bring out your brand, right? It's like, all right, there's other coaches in this organization that are getting the assignments to be flown all around the world. You know, I was doing mostly phone assignments, and then they started putting me on the road, right? I started with Australia, and then, you know, I went to a couple cities in the US to coach some people, and that's when the feedback came in. I got the call while I was in North Carolina, probably in October, that I was going to speak the following month. So I had a couple weeks to prepare. But my point is that there was already coaches that I had seen in the organization. I was doing a lot of phone sessions, you know what I mean? A lot of Zoom sessions, right? And I saw in the organization, there's coaches that are being flown all around the world, all these different cities, all these different, I wanted to compete, right? So I wanted to make sure that I wasn't just talking about the thing that I knew the best, all right? What's my competitive advantage in this environment? If all of these students in this personal professional growth organization, right, are going to be hiring coaches, looking for coaches, want to get Zoom sessions or full day VIP sessions with coaches, right? I need to differentiate myself. I need to come out and show, right, that what my gifts and competitive advantage are. I need to show what I do better than everybody else that also does it. And I need to show what I do that nobody else does, right? And then I also wanted to show what I know to be, first of all, my integrity, you know, my identity, but really I think it's a competitive advantage is my big heart, my love. I believe that nobody loves as hard as I do. Nobody, do you understand what I'm getting at? Right. So I decided I was going to talk about accountability, and I was going to, like, hey, you hear the word accountability thrown around, but we're going to break it down a little further. And I was going to come straight out of my coaching and leadership training the salient points about accountability in a 15-minute jam. And what's the thing that we always hear? What's the word that we always hear when we hear about accountability? It's like, oh, hold you accountable. Nobody's holding you account. Hold you accountable, right? Hold. Right? So during the speech, I got to make the point that one of the things that we require in accountability is love, the willingness to be vulnerable. But nobody equates accountability with vulnerability. Am I expanding your thoughts? Anyway, the idea is hold you accountable. Do I have permission to hold you accountable? That's my attention getter. Do I have permission to hold you accountable? Right? That's the attention getter. Going back to what we just read earlier. Do I have permission to hold you accountable? Right? And so I got the yeses, right? And then I go through and I talk about accountability, and I know that I was peeing on the fire hydrant and making sure that people knew, oh, for sure. Thank you for laughing. But I was marking my territory. I had so much confidence. I knew I was talking about something that no other coach was trained on the way that I am.
Yeah.
Right? Just because we can pronounce accountability doesn't mean we're trained on the techniques required to deliver it. Right? And that's why I wrote the integrity game, to be a Trojan horse, so that people start talking about accountability before they realize they're talking about accountability. Because as soon as people realize they're talking about accountability, they want to end the conversation as soon as possible. But as long as I can keep them engaged in talking about integrity, the longer I'll have them talking about accountability. So I believe I've studied this through and through. Anyway, do I have permission to hold you accountable? Yes. The whole crowd. I'll never forget. Yes. And so by the time I went through the whole thing, what's my tie back? I'm saying right here, tie back to something that you say in the beginning. Right? But I also explained during the speech that one of the ingredients, one of the things that's required for accountability is love. So I said, do I have permission to hold you accountable? And then I introduced the idea that it requires love to hold people accountable. Because, I better be willing to be vulnerable, because you're going to push back, smoke and mirror, and say, what about you, coach? When I try to hold you accountable, I better love you if I'm willing to brave all of the defense mechanisms that I'm going to get when I really get close to holding somebody accountable. And then the person in the relationship needs to be able to be willing to be vulnerable as well. But I'm taking a long time to set this up, and it's so simple. You've heard me say before, how many times, Sue? So many people out there go for the jugular, but I go for the hugular. That's personal branding.
Yeah.
Right? So very simple. It's like, do I have permission to hold you accountable in the beginning? And then at the end, hey, everyone, it's been a treat to take you through accountability. My name's Coach Jeffrey. I really thank you for letting me hug you accountable. That was it. That was the tie back. Instead of hold, it's hug. Because I do this with love. It's hardcore accountability on a plate of I love you. So thank you for letting me hug you accountable. That's it. One of the most memorable tiebacks ever. Thank you for letting me hug you accountable. Nobody's ever said that. Nobody's ever gotten on stage and said, thank you for letting me hug you accountable. So I knew right there in that moment that I was achieving all my objectives, and the tieback really sewed it all up. And very simple and brief. Just changed hold to hug. That's it. I didn't know that question was coming, but I love telling that story. And by the way, I could probably easily enough.
And I think I was in the audience too.
Were you there? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I was in the audience. Yeah.
I wonder if, let me just see. I wonder if I could find a link to that talk in case anybody wants to see it. It wasn't perfect. I made other mistakes in that talk. I definitely made other mistakes in the talk, but I nailed the closing there. Watch, get a clue. I don't know. I'm not going to spend too much time looking for it. If I can find it in a heartbeat, I will. Videos. Where is it? It's not super handy. There we go. No, that's not it either. But what else, Sue? Other comments or questions? You had that. Here it is. I've got it right now. Share. I'll get a link. Copy that link. Okay, I could put that in. It's going to be I don't know how to do that actually in the live stream. Yeah, I wouldn't know how to do that. I'd have to make a tiny URL out of it really quick. So that's not going to happen. Yeah. But I wonder. Yeah, if somebody just goes to YouTube and at the integrity game, you could search Hug You Accountable. You might be able to find it. Hug You Accountable is the name of it. I wonder if it comes up in a random search. But anyway, what other comments or questions to close out today's tip? I don't want to go down the rabbit hole there. But you brought back the memory. I'll never forget that night. It was great.
I love it. And obviously, it just so quickly come back with that. It meant a lot to you at the time, and well, still means a lot to you, and certainly that branding of Hug You Accountable is something that I've seen in the years that I've known you. You bring that out consistently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to do something with it. It's there, the capacity for love, the willingness to be vulnerable, how much I care about helping other people, knowing how much help I've gotten in my own life. Right. I can't hide that from anything I'm doing. I can't, there's no basement to shove that down into when I'm doing what I'm doing. I got to lean into it and let it come through.
But I love too the connection that you've shown us in going through that between It's a Wrap and using that tie back, but linking that back into your branding and having the two together, like that's something as working towards my certainly something.
Yeah, are you there, Sue? Are you back? You were breaking up a little bit there from what I could hear.
Yeah.
Okay, looks like you're back in real time. Yeah, I mean,
I just had wheels spinning. So
yeah, that's okay. That's okay. I know when I'm on campus at San Diego State, when the classes let out and all these students walk by the outside of my office, my signal gets choppy. I know how that is. But back to what we were talking about, right? When I've got my questions answered and I know who I am, I know my purpose and my gifts, right? Like, would I have thought to infuse love and hug into my speech if I wasn't aware that one of the things that differentiates me from other coaches or speakers or trainers out there is that I wear my heart on my sleeve, literally. You know exactly what I'm thinking or feeling every minute of every day, and I'm vulnerable, and I lead with love, right? And but I know that because I answer my integrity game, right? I also know humor and timing, right? And differentiation and competitive advantage, because I did this work to bring out my brand. I asked these questions about my promise to the marketplace. So I promise hardcore accountability, but I promise I'll deliver it on a plate of I love you. That's a promise to the marketplace. Right? Like, oh, you're going to hold me accountable, but it won't hurt? Well, it'll be uncomfortable, but it won't hurt.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not going to hurt more. It's certainly not going to hurt more than the status quo. That's probably hurting you a lot more. Like, how about doing the same thing over and over? How about insanity? How's that hurting? But anyway, my point is, it's this work that we do, right? It's interesting when we're going through it. We're just focusing on the value of the tip in and of itself. Ooh, the integrity games, but it helps us all the way down here in tip 40, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
You know what I'm saying? And so I hope that you're seeing the simmering effect, the marinating effect. You right? Like, these tips have been in the bank for a while. We covered these, 20 weeks ago, right? 40 weeks ago, we started working on this. Think about that. 40 weeks. 30 weeks ago, we started working on this. We got done, right? We just started this 20 weeks ago. Isn't that interesting, right? But now all these weeks later, here we are in tip number 40, and we're writing a simple tie back. Thank you for letting me hug you accountable. That closes out the speech, performs the function of wrap up, ties back and creates closure and sense of warmth for the audience, but reintroduces my brand promise, my differentiation, right? That one sentence did all of those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And it's easy to write that sentence. Golly, what would I have written as my tie back? It might have been like a dad joke or something worse. If I didn't take the time to do this, and if I didn't take the time to do this, right? I've seen so many people and their speech is like, well, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They don't know what to say next. They know that they're done, but it's so, like, it's not rocket science, but let's say something that clearly closes out this speech, where your audience, like my audience knew, and I said, thank you for letting me hug you accountable. And I just put my head down like this. They know that's it. Speech is over. That's it. Yeah. No awkwardness, no nothing. And then never waste a good opportunity. It's like, shout out to Brian Trachel. You know Brian Trachel. We're going to hear from him in the 90-day challenge in a couple weeks on an all-star session. when it comes to action, taking action week. So 2.5 weeks from now. But, you know, I'm a big efficiency guy, right? Like I like to feed 2 birds with 1 grain. Like you said, oh, your tie back doesn't just send the speech, but reinforces your brand promise and your differentiation. And yeah. Okay. Well, guess what? Brian taught me one time, and he did it through voice messages, which is now like kind of antiquated. Right. It's kind of antiquated now, but then it was like, here's the joke. And I never forget when we were laughing about this together. He's like, why waste an opportunity to market yourself? Like, what is your outgoing greeting when somebody calls you and gets your voicemail? Maybe it sounds a little something like this. Are you ready, Sue?
Nice.
This is so funny. Hi, yeah. You've reached Jeff Klubeck. Oh, really? Is that who I was calling? I can't make it to the phone right now. Oh, is that why I'm listening to a recorded? So if you leave your name, number, and a brief message, I'll be sure to get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you for calling and have a great day. Dude, what a waste of an opportunity. Right? All of that is no shit stuff, right? Like, oh, that's who I'm calling? Oh, you couldn't make it to the phone, huh? Oh, is that what I'm supposed to do? Is I'm supposed to leave my name? And just in case it didn't come up on caller ID, and oh, I should leave a detailed message and leave my number twice. And oh, really? Are you really taking what? How many people haven't updated their outbound voice greetings in like 20 years, right? Very funny, right? So when you call my voicemail, and I encourage any of you out there to call it, I'm not going to put it in the chat, but 619-405-3356. Call me, let it go to voicemail. You know what mine is? I say, hey, this is Jeff, and I really want to know how I can help you. Leave me a great message, and I'll call you back. So right up front, I am communicating that I am here to help you. Nobody gets to call me without hearing that my brand, that's what it is. Hey, this is Jeff. I really want to know how I can help you. Please leave me a great message. And that's what I say. That's it. So now why ruin that? Why waste that opportunity to market myself? Why waste that opportunity to put my promise into the marketplace? Why waste an opportunity to let people know what they can expect from me? You know, there's been times where I get like, hi, Jeff, we've never met, but what a great positive message you left. That was really nice. Anyway, my name is so-and-so, and I'm calling because I've gotten messages like that where why miss an opportunity to make an impact, right? So that's the story, you know, even in a voicemail outbound greeting, but why in your tie back to your speech, why miss an opportunity to let your audience know? Why miss an opportunity to make one more imprint, one more sprinkle of pee-pee on the fire hydrant, right? Don't keep that inside and let it, you know, I'd be really silly now. Very silly, but actually, I'm going to cut myself off before I get too silly. But yeah, but like, don't put everything away too soon. Make sure it all gets out there. You know, don't let it dribble out into your underwear. Get it onto the fire hydrant. You know what I'm saying? All right, I've completed the analogy. I shouldn't have done that, but I did. It's kind of silly, but it's Friday. It's Friday.
I love it, but it's great. So appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah. What else? Yeah, I really, why waste an opportunity to market yourself and let the world know what you're up to? Remember, we talked about this during Bring Out Your Brand. We talked about the humiliation of humility, right? Like, right? We talked about it here in this section. I forget what tip it was, maybe tip number 19 or 20 or something like that. I could look right now in the table of contents. But it's like, remember the story about the guy that goes out, and he's a real estate agent, and he walks out to go to work one day, and he sees up the street a neighbor has a sign in the lawn, and he says, hey, man, I'm a real estate agent. You've been my neighbor for 15 years. I'm a real estate agent. How could you go with my competitor? And the neighbor says, I didn't know you were a real estate agent. So whose fault is it?
Yeah.
Right? So that level of thinking is we have to get comfortable with tooting our horn. We have to get comfortable making our promises. We have to get comfortable knowing what our competitive advantages are. We got to get comfortable being creative, taking chances, right? Everything that we're talking about is here is that so nobody out there, none of you out there ever shy away from or come up with some reason not to take advantage of a public speaking opportunity, not to take advantage of one-to-many, not to take advantage of elevating your career or elevating anything else that you want elevated through the influence of public speaking and the impact of it. It's so easy to sit back there in the audience and say, I think I'm smarter than that person. I could do a better job than that person. Well, that person did a whole lot of work that you haven't seen in order to get up on that stage and be ready to go. And the truth is, you're probably right. You probably can do a better job, and we want to help you. Don't stop saying no to your public speaking opportunities and then getting mad at the people that are doing it, right? We want to make sure that we're helping somehow, some way. So we've arrived at one of my favorite parts of every session. Are you ready? Drum roll, please. Last call. We've made it. Last call. This is last call for the section. But for the session and the section, right? Tip number 40 and section number 4. Wow, it's a milestone, Sue. 40 weeks in a row of coming online and reading a tip from our book. Last call. Comments, questions, expressions of gratitude.
Well, just briefly, there's one thing I want to finish up with, but before we get there, talking about speaking opportunities, you did that through, certainly in International Speakers Network, you gave people the opportunity to join the 90-day challenge and to have all stars. So for the benefit of the audience, do you want to just showcase some of the speakers that have been today and who's coming up this week?
Can you see my screen?
Coming up. Yep.
Here we go. So first of all, last week on September 25th, it was yourself and Debbie Haswell. And earlier, just a couple of days ago, is Ken Esnick. We talked about smart goal setting. It was fantastic. And coming up this week, we've got 3 subject matter experts on the panel. They're all marketing and PR professionals. So that's Jennifer Horspool, Kelly Johnson, and Chuck Chiodo. Kelly and Jennifer are more PR, right? And Chuck is more all things marketing agency, digital marketing, funnels, etc. So of all of the strategies under the sun that we could talk about, I've aligned a panel that can all overlap with marketing and PR strategies, getting the word out there. The opposite of that humiliating humiliation or humiliating humility, right? We have to absolutely get things out there. And so in a noisy world, in a saturated, socially mediated world, what's going on? How do we do it, right? I can't wait for October 16th with Ellie. Ellie has been wonderful to show up to most of our other sessions as an all-star, like you. Some of the all-stars show up to sessions when they're not the featured, but they're in the game. They're in the ecosystem, adding lots of love and credibility and value add and perspective to everything. And that's why I'm doing the all-star sessions, right? Just because I wrote the integrity game doesn't mean I know everything about integrity. So I've brought in all of these subject matter experts to help me go deeper on the 10 points of the model. So everybody can see there's purpose week and gifts week and potential and on and on. So word and commitment. And then we'll have Brian Trachel, aforementioned Brian Trachel, with Donnie Boven. And Donnie's awesome. I talked about Brian already, and he's one of my best friends on the planet. I love Brian just absolutely immensely, and I'll gush all over him when his turn is up on October 23rd. But Donnie is like this, like a new love in my life. Like this guy's got, when you talk about a big heart, this guy, you talk about, in the trenches and all of the fits and starts of being an entrepreneurial, on the entrepreneurial journey, and, wondering how you're going to make it happen and worrying about like losing the farm, quote unquote, but like literally in his case, like losing the farm, right? Like, oh no, but believing in your dreams and having that resilience and coming back and building something amazing. And I know that this guy is motivated by helping others. I know that this guy is so grateful for all the help that he's gotten in his life, Donnie. And I'm a big fan of what he's doing. And I met him through being booked as a guest on his podcast. And I'm thrilled that he's now returning the favor. Donnie, Ken, and Deanna that you see down here, they are 3 podcast hosts that I've guested on that are now such a fan, so to speak, of the integrity game that they're willing to come in and help me do my thing as well. So the power of networking is powerful for sure. The Admiral, James McNeil, down here in Service Week, along with Diane, who I met through International Speakers Network. International Speakers Network is run by Lisa Reed. I think we might have met Chris Felton through Lisa as well. Definitely met Sloan. And then, of course, Lori and Aaron, I met through Provisors, my membership in the organization called Provisors. So this is all networking, getting out there, being yourself, right? That's where all of these guests have come together. And some of these all-stars that are helping me go through everything this year are repeat, like you've been a guest in the past. Brian's been a guest in the past, but some are, the Admiral was a guest in the past. Lisa was a guest in the past, but others are brand new. So, you know, this is the third year that we're doing all-star sessions to create the content that supports the 90-day challenge. And it's amazing. Like all of a sudden, Sue, like, wait a second, I've got like 50 all-stars. Like we're going to get to a point where, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's going to be a point where I've interviewed over 100 all-stars to help me make it easier for other people to play the integrity game. So that, I think, answers your question about upcoming interviews. But then when we get to, you know, I didn't plan on doing this, but let me see if it's handy real quick. I'm not so sure if it's handy real quick. I don't know if it's really handy real quick. Yeah, I can. Well, no. Yeah, no. Maybe. Can you see my screen now? Yeah. Do you see? Are you seeing the arena?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So basically, what we're trying to let everybody know is we've got at the integritygame.com, we've got these membership. Our membership site is called the Arena. So it's free to join. Just go to the integritygame.com/arena. And then you can come in here and you can join for free. We call it general admission, and there's a bunch of free stuff in there. A lot of it is previewing what you could expect in our season pass or subscription, $97 a month. So the 90-day challenge sits in our subscription level, but so too does all this other incredible content. The Competent Communicator, our goal setting course, of course, DISC and Motivators assessments. You can preview group mentoring, but our flyby coaching and our strategic staffing and our confident candidate, I'll be able to show that. And the 8 steps to fearless public speaking, we don't even have it all listed here, all of the things that are included. Now, for those of you that are aspiring coaches or aspiring trainers or aspiring speakers, you want to be a trainer, speaker, you want to be a coach, and you're getting started, you're in your first couple, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, and you want to get accelerated, you want to get advanced, you want to get ahead of the game, we've got a locker room level for people that want to help others, right, in their personal professional growth journey. And then ultimately for those people, we don't have this fully fleshed out yet, but for people that want to be a certified integrity game speaker or a certified integrity game coach or a certified integrity game trainer, we're going to have the owner's suite where you're attaching yourself, you're connecting to the integrity game brand. Not exclusively, by the way, you can still have your own brand, but we want to get you blessed or certified or licensed to be able to use integrity game content, integrity game branding to help you promote yourself. And then we can do collaborations and all of the types of things that you see me doing with Sue, as a matter of fact. So I share that, and only to show that once we get into it, it's going to look like this. And we go on, when we click take course, you guys are going to see all the courses that I've got in my shell, tons of value here. But when we look at just the 90-day challenge, that's what we've been referring to. So, Sue, you were just asking me about the guests, and here's the volumes. I mean, the sessions that we've done so far. So Wednesday's session that I did with Ken will be the next one for me to load right here. But 2 years ago, we did a full battery of recordings that took us through the 90-day challenge. And then last year, we did the same. So all of these sessions now, they're labeled and they're titled by giving you an idea of which expert I was interviewing in any given week. And there's volumes of recordings of me interviewing subject matter experts. And all of this is designed to make it easier for others to answer their own questions in the 90-day challenge. What is your purpose? What are your gifts? What is your potential? These are hard questions. We want to make it easier. So we've added the 2 one-on-one sessions with an integrity game certified coach. And we've got a private Facebook group. And we've got a fillable workbook for you to take notes into when you're watching any of these recordings. We'll run behavioral assessments on you so you can start to understand differentiations in your behavioral style. And of course, we'll give you a free copy of the integrity game, which you get actually for free if you just join the free level. The general admission, we make all of the ebooks are free at that level. So that's what the 90-day challenge is. Sue, is that what you were asking me to share and show? Yeah.
Yes.
And then when we come back to just to let people know, if they just want to join for free and get the general admission, go to integritygame.com/arena and just put in your email and your name and your email address. That's it. And you'll be able to join for free with a login and a password, our general admission section. And that's where you still get 2 one-on-one sessions with an integrity game certified coach. When you're filling out this form, make sure you ask for me or Sue if you want me or Sue to be your coach. But then you can see here, I've got PDF versions of all the books, including the one that we're reading a tip from right now. That means last year, I read 52 tips from in the year before and the year before. So I'm in my 4th or 5th year of reading a tip every single week. but we'll preview the 90-day challenge and give sample content for what you can expect in the 90-day challenge. We'll preview the Confident Communicator to give you a sample of what to expect. We'll preview our Bring Out Your Brand workshop and preview our smart goal setting and preview flyby coaching and preview, right, the Kluby snacks. So all of these things that we're previewing are available, of course, in the season pass, right? So, you know, we give you a bunch for free, and then hopefully that motivates you to subscribe. And, you know, all of these courses that you get on their own, they're more expensive than the $100 a month. And we're going to be committed to continually putting value into these levels to make sure that it's worth way more than what we're charging, right? So we want you to join the arena. We want to make it easier for you to improve your communication skills, improve your soft skills, increase your integrity, retrofit yourself, and go get the life, career, and business you really want and deserve. What we're talking about every week this year with public speaking, it's just one soft skill, right? Yes. We've got dozens of soft skills that we can, you know, help you absorb and learn to help you advance and better your career, your life, your families, your health, your relationships, all the stuff. So that's what we're doing. Sue, is that what you were asking me to show people?
Yeah, absolutely. Love it. Love it. So much opportunity for people.
Yeah, what everybody sees on the screen right now, this is Sue's link. So you go ahead and click the link, integritygame.com/Sue, and then you can register for free to attend next week's All-Star session. And this is the same link you can use to attend all of our All-Star sessions coming up. Like, so, you know, you click the link right now, it's going to show you who the guests are on Wednesday. Then once that session is over, the next week's guests will populate. So it's a rotating landing page, if you will. Registration is free. It's totally free to attend All-Star sessions. And that's when we have a conversation about one of the topics on the Integrity Game model. This coming week, we're going to be talking about strategies, tactics, and resources. And our guests are largely focused on PR and marketing. So if you think that you'll get some value out of that, or if you want to show your face and that, like, you know, there's a little bit of micro networking that happens as people start to learn and get to know each other in the sessions. It's not speed networking and Uber, but it's micro networking, right? So be ready to open up your microphone and contribute to the conversation, ask some questions, but otherwise learn from our experts, which is why I'm hosting the sessions every week, because I want more strategy in my life. I want more gift and purpose and potential I want clarity on all of these questions that guide my empowered yeses and my empowered no's as I go through this thing called life, right? I want to know what I'm saying yes to, what I'm saying no to. I want to have no second guessing about any of it. So what else? We're still in last call, Sue, as we wrap up tip 40, section 4, and we're getting ready to sprint to the finish line next week in section 5.
I have one joke.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
Why did the speaker bring a ladder to their talk?
Oh, because it was highly motivating?
Almost.
Okay.
Because they wanted to take the audience to new heights.
Okay, I was close. Okay. All right, very good.
You're on the right track.
Very good. Not bad. All right, very cool. Well, anything else that we've got for today before we wrap up? Dismiss? No? I'm really happy that you came up with a joke. That's cute. I mean, 40 weeks now of asking for last call, right? Limericks, jokes, riddles, haikus. Finally, we get a joke in week 40. Okay, that's cool. It was cute. Are we good to wrap up? I don't have necessarily a tie back for here other than to say thank you for going on this journey with me, Sue. It's just a great pleasure to travel. We got 12 weeks to go. We're going to have a lot of fun the rest of the way, right? Remember, the music is in our head. 99 bottles of beer on the wall, 99 bottles of beer. So tune in next week and you'll find out what we're talking about. 12 accountabilities on the wall, 12 accountabilities. Take one down, pass it around. Oh, shit. 11 more accountabilities on the wall. So fun. I can't wait to dive into section 5 next week.
Love it. Will be wonderful to close out the year with the 12 set. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, have a great rest of your weekend. I know I'm probably going to see you Wednesday and Friday of next week. So let's keep rocking. And we got still like little less than 3 months to make 2024 one of our best years ever. Let's rock and roll. We'll see you next week, Sue. Thank you.
Sounds good. Okay. Bye.